Alright everyone, let's dive deep into what could be one of the most intriguing and complex three-team trades swirling around the NBA right now involving the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Sacramento Kings. At the center of all this is Jonathan Kuminga heading to Sacramento. This potential move acts like the first domino, triggering a whole chain reaction of trades and roster reshuffling that could dramatically reshape these teams' futures. The heat of this trade buzz really focuses on DeMar DeRozan's potential destination, with Sacramento seemingly looking to move off of him, which opens the door for Miami or even the Lakers to make a play. It's a bit of a labyrinthine puzzle, but once you start connecting the dots, the pieces begin to form an interesting picture. Starting with the Lakers, their goal appears to be landing a reliable scorer who can come off the bench, a true bucket getter who can fill that crucial sixth-man role and provide offensive punch and playmaking when the starters rest. There's chatter about potentially acquiring Andrew Wiggins along with Malik Monk or maybe even Keon Ellis, though the latter might be a bit of a stretch considering Sacramento's reluctance to part with him. In a perfect world, Lakers bringing in Wiggins and Ellis would be a dream scenario, but more realistically, a package with Malik Monk and Wiggins looks like a solid fit, especially if it helps offset the departure of Austin Reeves, who, by the way, is looking like a guy who wants to start and secure a big contract soon. Monk could slide comfortably into a bench role and provide scoring and ball handling off the pine, balancing out the roster nicely for the Lakers. But here's where it gets tricky. The Lakers just don't have the salary cap space to simply absorb an Andrew Wiggins contract outright. So any trade involving Wiggins is going to need a third team to help make the math work. Miami, with its tight salary cap situation but slightly more flexibility than LA, could be that third wheel in the deal. For Miami to bring in DeRozan, they might have to send out some combination of players like Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and Dalton Klein, with Sacramento absorbing those contracts thanks to their cap space below the apron. Sacramento's flexibility here is key because they can take on extra salary and still have wiggle room under the cap, which makes them the perfect partner in this kind of multi-team maneuvering. Now, if Sacramento ends up missing out on Kuminga, their strategy shifts. They have Dennis Schroeder and want to bring in Russell Westbrook, and they're looking to move off players like Malik Monk and possibly even DeRozan. Miami's interest in DeRozan could lead to a cleaner, simpler trade scenario, where DeRozan heads to Miami, Wiggins goes to the Lakers, and Sacramento picks up players like Rui Hachimura, Dalton Klein, and maybe Gabe Vincent. This would help Sacramento reshape their roster around Westbrook and Sabonis, focusing more on players who can operate off the ball and provide spacing. They don't need more ball-dominant scorers. Instead, they want reliable shooters and versatile wings who can complement Westbrook's style. From Miami's perspective, landing DeRozan would provide them with a dynamic scorer who thrives in mid-range and can create his own shot, helping to elevate their offense. DeRozan is most effective playing either as a small forward or power forward, where he can exploit mismatches, so Miami would likely build their lineup around him, maybe with Tyler Herro handling the point guard duties. This aligns with the idea that Wiggins, who can play multiple wing positions and provide solid defense, might become expendable for the Heat and thus find a new home with the Lakers. Sacramento, on the other hand, benefits by clearing salary and acquiring players who fit a more complementary off-ball role, which is crucial when you have someone like Westbrook orchestrating the offense. Rui Hachimura's catch-and-shoot ability makes him an attractive piece, and Dalton Klein represents a young prospect who could develop into a valuable floor spacer and defender. The Kings would essentially be turning over some of their older or less fitting pieces for younger, more versatile talent and freeing up cap space for future moves or extensions. Meanwhile, the Lakers, by acquiring Wiggins and Monk, would shore up their wing depth significantly. Wiggins provides length, athleticism, and defensive capability alongside scoring, while Monk offers quickness and scoring punch off the bench. This tandem could help the Lakers maintain competitive balance, especially if Austin Reeves is traded or signs elsewhere for a big contract. Monk coming off the bench could fill in that scoring void seamlessly, and with Wiggins' ability to guard multiple positions, the Lakers would have much more flexibility in their rotations. All this creates a fascinating web of potential outcomes. The initial domino, Kuminga going to Sacramento, is pivotal. If that doesn't happen, the simpler, cleaner trade scenario with DeRozan going to Miami and Wiggins heading to the Lakers becomes far more likely. It's a situation where all three teams can address their roster needs while managing their salary cap realities. Sacramento improves their flexibility and fits around Westbrook. Miami gets the scorer they crave in DeRozan, and The Lakers boost their wing options with players who can contribute both offensively and defensively. It's also interesting to think about how these moves affect the broader NBA landscape. Miami would be doubling down on veteran scoring, relying on DeRozan's experience and offensive skill set to complement their existing core. The Lakers would be banking on a mix of established wings and young talent to build around their superstar, trying to strike a balance between immediate competitiveness and future flexibility. Sacramento, with a fresh cap sheet and new pieces, could pivot towards a more dynamic, faster-paced style, with Westbrook leading the charge. What's particularly fascinating is how the roles of certain players might shift in this shuffle. Austin Reeves, for example, might move on, paving the way for Malik Monk to step up as a reliable bench scorer, who can also handle some playmaking duties. Meanwhile, Rui Hachimura's role as a catch-and-shoot specialist could help Sacramento stretch the floor in a way they desperately need, especially alongside more ball-dominant players like Westbrook and Sabonis. This balancing act of talent and salary is what makes NBA trades so complex, but also so captivating to follow. Adding to the intrigue is the possibility of other minor moves to fill roster spots and fit-into lineups, such as additional players moving between the three teams, or even a potential fourth team entering the equation. These details might get worked out behind the scenes to ensure everyone's roster limits and salary caps align perfectly. It's like a high-stakes game of chess where each piece has to move precisely for the end game to succeed. This whole situation underscores how NBA front offices juggle a ton of variables. Talent evaluation can track sizes, player preferences, and long-term planning all at once. Sometimes a seemingly simple trade on the surface involves a cascade of other moves that create a ripple effect across multiple rosters. That's exactly what we're seeing here with these three teams. It's a messy but fascinating puzzle that could reshape each franchise's trajectory in a big way. So while fans and analysts speculate about who ends up where, it's clear that teams are working hard to maximize their chances of success. The Lakers want to keep LeBron James and Anthony Davis in a position to contend now, so adding wing players who can defend and score is a priority. Miami is aiming to put together a roster that can make deep playoff runs, and DeRozan's skill set fits that mold perfectly. Sacramento wants to develop young talent around key veterans, while staying flexible for future trades or free agency signings. In this whole scenario, the magic happens when the pieces finally click, when a trade is executed cleanly, with all the moving parts falling into place, allowing each team to move forward confidently. It's not just about swapping players, it's about strategic vision, timing, and a bit of luck. As this potential three-team trade buzz continues, it will be interesting to watch how it develops. Will Kuminga land in Sacramento and start the chain reaction, or will the teams opt for the cleaner, simpler path of a DeRozan for Wiggins swap, with supporting players moving around to balance salaries? Either way, the ripple effects of these moves could be felt throughout the league and impact how these teams perform in the coming seasons. There's also the human element, players uprooting their lives, fitting into new systems and adapting to new roles. DeRozan, for example, would need to adjust to Miami's culture and style of play, while Wiggins would have to integrate into the Lakers roster and expectations. For Sacramento, integrating new pieces and making Westbrook's offense click will be a big challenge, but also an exciting opportunity. Ultimately, trades like this highlight how dynamic and interconnected the NBA landscape is. One move sparks another, creating a domino effect that reshapes multiple franchises in just a short span of time. It's a reminder that basketball isn't just played on the court, but also in the boardrooms, where front offices work tirelessly to build winning teams. So as this story unfolds, keep an eye on how the Lakers, Heat, and Kings navigate these waters. The stakes are high, the players involved are significant, and the outcomes could define their seasons and even years to come. The drama of the NBA trade market is in full swing, and this potential three-team deal is at the heart of it all. Building off the momentum of that initial trade discussion, the ripple effects extend far beyond just the players involved. When you think about how teams like the Lakers, Heat, and Kings are all trying to navigate this intricate web of talent, salary, and team chemistry, it becomes clear just how complex the NBA trade market is beneath the surface. This isn't just a matter of swapping jerseys, it's about crafting rosters that can sustain success in the short and long-term, balancing cap space, player development, and team identity. For the Lakers, landing someone like Andrew Wiggins alongside Malik Monk isn't just about filling spots on a roster sheet. It's about finding the right blend of skills that can complement the superstar duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, while also hedging against the risk of injuries or dips in form. Wiggins offers a unique combination of athleticism and length, making him one of the few players in the league who can defend multiple positions effectively. This versatility is gold for a team like the Lakers, who rely on switching defenses and matchup flexibility. Moreover, Wiggins' ability to attack the basket and finish in traffic provides a different scoring dynamic than what the Lakers currently have, adding more layers to their offensive schemes. Malik Monk, meanwhile, brings a different kind of spark. Known for his quickness and scoring bursts, Monk can come off the bench and create his own shot, something that the Lakers desperately need to offset the occasional offensive droughts when LeBron or Davis sit. Monk's shot creation ability and willingness to attack defenses could energize the second unit and give the Lakers a reliable scorer beyond the starters. This combination of Wiggins and Monk could essentially redefine the Lakers' wing rotation and provide new options for head coach Darvin Ham in crunch time. On the other side of the deal, Miami acquiring DeMar DeRozan adds a prolific scorer who thrives on mid-range isolation plays and driving to the basket. DeRozan is known for his crafty footwork and the ability to get to his spots with precision, and that fits well within Miami's offensive framework. His presence would immediately boost Miami's offensive efficiency, especially since he excels in half-court sets and can create his own shot without relying heavily on three-point shooting. In an era where three-point shooting dominates, DeRozan's mid-range game stands out as a reliable weapon, especially in playoff situations where defenses tighten and long-range shots can become harder to come by. DeRozan's arrival in Miami would also impact the roles of other players, most notably Tyler Herro. With DeRozan commanding attention and scoring from the wing or forward spots, Herro might shift into a more natural point guard role, focusing on playmaking and facilitating. This adjustment could unlock a new dimension for the Heat's offense, balancing scoring and distribution more effectively. Miami's ability to adapt and maximize player strengths is one of the reasons they've remained competitive in recent years, and adding DeRozan could help them punch deeper into the postseason. Sacramento's involvement in this multi-team trade is equally fascinating. By taking on players like Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and Dalton Klein, the Kings would be sending a clear message that they're pivoting toward a roster construction that emphasizes versatility, youth, and shooting. Rui Hachimura, who has shown flashes of being a solid floor spacer and scorer, would provide Sacramento with valuable wing depth and a player capable of fitting alongside Sabonis and Westbrook. His skill set as a catch-and-shoot forward is exactly what the Kings need, given that Westbrook's style demands reliable shooters around him to prevent defenses from collapsing into the paint. Gabe Vincent, although more of a role player, brings solid perimeter defense and steady shooting. His presence could help Sacramento's backcourt, especially if Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook are running the point. Dalton Klein, while still a developing talent, offers additional shooting and spacing, which fits Sacramento's strategic vision. The Kings' ability to balance veteran experience with young upside is crucial as they attempt to build a competitive team around their star core. From a broader perspective, this potential trade underscores the delicate balancing act NBA front offices must perform. Salary cap constraints force teams to not only evaluate talent, but also consider contract lengths, luxury tax implications, and potential future flexibility. The Kings, for instance, appear willing to absorb contracts and trade away players who might not fit their long-term plans in order to clear space and gain players better suited to their style of play. Miami, in contrast, is willing to take on a higher salary player like DeRozan to gain an immediate upgrade in scoring and veteran presence. The Lakers have to carefully manage their roster and salary commitments to keep their championship window open while not mortgaging the future. The human element cannot be overlooked here either. Trades affect more than just on-court dynamics. They also impact players' lives, families, and mental preparations. Moving cities and teams can be challenging, and players like DeRozan, Wiggins, and Monk would need to adjust to new teammates, coaches, and systems. The chemistry on and off the court is vital for team success, and how quickly these players can assimilate will influence the ultimate success of any trade. Additionally, the psychological impact of trades like this on locker room culture and team morale is significant. Bringing in a player like DeRozan, known for his leadership and professionalism, could uplift Miami's locker room, while adding Wiggins and Monk to the Lakers could inject new energy and optimism. Sacramento's young players, meanwhile, might feel encouraged by the front office's moves to bring in players that complement their core stars and give them a clearer path forward. There's also the strategic timing of these trades. Teams don't just swap players overnight. These deals often hinge on negotiations that can take weeks or even months involving agents, medical staff, and league approval. Rumors and leaks can also impact player and fan expectations, adding pressure on front offices to get deals done efficiently. In this case, the three-team trade involving Miami, the Lakers, and Sacramento could be a multi-step process with contingencies depending on other moves in the league. Looking ahead, this trade scenario could set the tone for other teams' moves as well. If the Heat successfully land DeRozan and the Lakers acquire Wiggins and Monk, other franchises might reassess their own rosters and salary strategies. Trades and signings often create domino effects where one team's move prompts another's response, reshaping the entire league landscape. The ripple effect from this trade could lead to further player movement, free agent signings, and even coaching adjustments as teams adapt. The competitive balance of the Western Conference might be particularly affected. The Lakers adding Wiggins and Monk could enhance their chances of staying competitive against powerhouse teams like the Nuggets and Suns. Sacramento's retooling with a more balanced roster around Westbrook and Sabonis could make them a tougher out in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Miami's reinforced defense with DeRozan could challenge top Eastern Conference contenders and potentially change the playoff picture. Furthermore, these trades highlight the ongoing evolution of basketball styles. In the NBA, teams increasingly value versatility, spacing, and two-way players who can impact both ends of the floor. Wiggins exemplifies this trend with his ability to guard multiple positions and contribute offensively. DeRozan's mid-range mastery and ability to create shots in isolation remind us that despite the league's three-point obsession, there is still room for diverse offensive skill sets. Monk's scoring bursts from the bench showcase the importance of depth and instant defense in today's game. The front offices also have to consider the long-term implications of these trades. While immediate roster improvements are important, the contracts involved will affect future salary cap situations and flexibility to sign or trade for other stars. Players like Wiggins and DeRozan have significant contracts, so teams must balance short-term competitiveness with long-term financial health. Sacramento's willingness to absorb contracts and take on younger players like Klein suggests a plan focused on growth and sustainability. In terms of coaching, these new players will require adjustments. Miami's Eric Spoelstra is known for adapting his system to maximize his roster strengths. Adding DeRozan could lead to offensive schemes that leverage his isolation and mid-range shooting. The Lakers' Darvin Ham might design lineups that allow Wiggins and Monk to thrive defensively and offensively alongside LeBron and Davis. Sacramento's coach will need to integrate the new pieces and figure out rotations that highlight Westbrook's playmaking and Sabonis' inside presence while spacing the floor with shooters. This possible trade also raises interesting questions about player development and opportunities. Malik Monk, for example, could find a fresh start with the Lakers, where he might get more consistent playing time and a clear role as a scorer off the bench. Rui Hachimura could benefit from increased opportunities in Sacramento to expand his offensive game and become a more reliable contributor. The right environment and coaching could help these players reach new heights. Moreover, the trade discussions reflect the intricate nature of NBA negotiations. Front offices must juggle not just the talent evaluation, but also personalities, contract structures, and future draft picks or protections. Sometimes these deals fall apart because of mismatched visions, or because a player involved has a no-trade clause or a preference